Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Chicago Karl. We're going to be bringing you guys daily NBA news updates, recovering and reviewing every single game from the night in which you're viewing this. We're going to be going over some news, giving you guys standing updates. So tune in for later videos, stay subscribed, and leave a like if you want to be involved with that. Without further ado, let's get right into the news of the day. Today, as you can tell from the title of the video, and if you saw anything on social media today was the trade deadline. A lot of big moves being made around the league. We're just going to go into some of the most notable ones today. First one, Lamarcus Aldridge was bought out today of his Spurs contract. Essentially, the Spurs are just letting him go and letting him sign wherever he may choose to. A lot of things that I'm seeing online are saying that the Heat are the alleged frontrunners, which makes sense for me because the Heat are a team that, they're right on that cusp of being great. They are the 7th seed in the East, but they're neck and neck. They're neck and neck with teams like the Hornets. They're only half a game back from the Hornets, so they could easily be the 4th seed in a day or two. Give it a couple games. So for the Heat to get someone like Aldridge, I think would really bolster their lineup. He's averaging 14 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists this year with the Spurs, and he is 35 years old. So that'll be interesting. After that, though, we look to the Miami Heat and the deal they made today. Victor Oladipo was traded today from the Houston Rockets to the Heat. Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk, as well as a 2022 pick swap between these teams, took place. I think this was a great move, first off, for Miami, because again, like we said, they're on that cusp of really making a deep push this year. Oladipo is a guy that's going to provide you depth, defense. He's going to give you a good three-point shooting percentage. He can even do a little bit of playmaking for this Miami team. We saw him do that in Indiana. I'm excited for this in Miami. I think he's going to be a great guy to play off of guys like Harrow and Butler. And I think, going into a deep playoff run this year, they can really use him late in games, and they can really use him on some tough schedules and road games they have, because he's just going to add depth to a lineup that's already looking very solid for this Heat team. So good move from Miami. On the other hand, though, for Houston, it's, we all know Houston's in rebuilding mode, okay? They got rid of James Harden. They've lost essentially all of their notable players, and they're not really left with anyone to really, gouge at. Their best player might be Christian Wood, but they do manage to pick up Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk. I kind of like that addition for this team. I know that their goal isn't to win games, really, but I do think that they're just serviceable guys to sort of fill in for this team while they wait for their young talent to develop. Oladipo on this year, he is putting up 21 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in 20 games for the Houston Rockets. He is 26 years old. Avery Bradley, on the other hand, he is 30 years old. He's put up 8.5 points. He is shooting 42% from 3, which is where he typically is. He's only played 10 games this year. He was dealing with some injury things, I believe, earlier in the season. And Kelly Olynyk, he's putting up 10 points, 6 boards in 43 games for the Houston Rockets. So good move all around for that. I think Miami's doing a great effort in making a pitch for a deep playoff run this year, and they were the most aggressive this year. I think the Heat really are looking good, and they're really cooping up for the future with this roster. And I think these are some guys that, they're in win-now mode. They can really, with this roster, get past, in my opinion, teams like Milwaukee, maybe even teams like Brooklyn, if Brooklyn continues to have players hurt like this. So, good move for the Heat, like we said. On the other hand, we had Aaron Gordon go to Denver in exchange for Gary Harris and RJ Hampton, including a first-round pick. I like this for the Magic, because, like we said earlier, if you saw our Wendell Carter Jr. and Nikola Vucevic trade that happened today, the Magic really don't know what direction they're going in, okay? The front office is kind of oblivious. They're sort of in the middle of things. But with this addition, I like it because the Magic are getting tons of picks with moves like this. They got 2 protected picks from the Bulls, which doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to get them, but there's a good chance that they will get them. I have not seen the protections on those quite yet, but regardless, the Magic are doing a good job of recuperating and actually going to build from the ground up. Aaron Gordon had a long career in Orlando, and if you're an Orlando fan, I guess it's tough to really see him go like that, but he's going to Denver. He's going to a team that likely this year will have a pretty decent run in the playoffs. Depending on who they run into early on, they could make a pretty deep push. And, guys like Gary Harris and RJ Hampton were decent contributors for this Denver team, especially Gary Harris. But at the end of the day, I mean, Denver, I think, is going to look very good with Aaron Gordon. Yusuf Nurkic is coming back pretty soon. This is going to be a very good Denver team, I think, heading down the line here. And I think you can kind of equate this Denver team to sort of what the Heat are trying to emulate. And I really like that move for both of the teams involved, to be quite frank. I like that the Magic are finally sticking to a position. We have another big news story, though. Kyle Lowry, who was swirling around in rumors with what seems like literally every single NBA team, has actually decided to stay in Toronto. They could not get a deal done, and I guess he's going to stay with his Raptors team for the rest of the season. Raptors this year are 18-26, so it's not like he's putting forth an effort to really make a deep push. He's sort of on a team that's in limbo. He's on a mediocre team. They're right out of that 10th spot, which would qualify them for that Eastern Conference play-in projection, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't know really what Toronto could have done with this. In my opinion, they should really just look to kind of do what the Pistons and the Magic are doing. Look to tank, just throw it all away, restart from the ground up, and just rebuild. That's what I think they should be doing, but I guess they're going to stick with Lowry for the remainder of the season. After that, we saw Lou Williams got traded with the deal between the Hawks and the Clippers. Lou Williams for Rajon Rondo. Hawks are going to get 2 second-round picks and cash as well. Rondo this year, he's putting up 4 points, 3.5 assists. Lou Williams is putting up 12 points, 3.5 assists in 42 games. Lou Williams goes back to Atlanta. I believe he actually started his career with the Hawks, and I mean, that's good for Atlanta fans if you've been with a team for a while. It's good to see him back in Atlanta. I think that's sort of where he belongs. He'll find his niche with that Atlanta team. Atlanta right now, if you look in the standings, they're the 6th seed in the East. They're 22-22, and they are red hot. They're looking good. They have guys like Trae Young that they can turn to. I do know they were technically on a 2-game losing streak, but for a while there, I mean, the Hawks just literally were not losing. They were looking incredibly dangerous. And I think the Lou Williams addition really does help this team in the long run. And I'm excited to see what Lou Will can do for this Hawks team coming down to the stretch of the season here. I think he can similarly do what I think with the Heat. If you were to tell me 3 weeks from now you see the Heat and the Hawks swap positions with the Hornets and the Knicks, I would totally believe you. I mean, those teams are looking very aggressive in the trades that they're making, and I think they're really cooped up to make a deep push this year. I'm excited to see what they can do. We do have some sad news, though. It's not a trade. Legendary NBA coach and college coach Stan Albeck passed away today in San Antonio at his home. Legendary coach. He coached total in basketball for 46 years. He coached in college, the NBA, and the ABA. He coached for so many college programs and literally a ton of NBA teams. As far as his college career goes, he started his career coaching at Adrian College, a Division III college in Adrian, Michigan. He then moved to coach a Division II school, Northern Michigan University, which is up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and then he moved to the University of Denver, in which he was the coach there. After that, he had a long career in the NBA coaching. He coached for the Denver Rockets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, San Antonio Spurs, New Jersey Nets, Chicago Bulls, Los Angeles Lakers, San Diego Conquistadors, and the Kentucky Colonels. Rest in peace to a serious legend. He's been around the game for so long, and it's tough to see a guy like him go. He's one of the legendary coaches that you hear talk about when people talk about the early days of basketball and sort of those legendary old guys that we just don't hear too much about. He's definitely one of them, and it's always a sad day when you see someone like that, leave this world. And we've seen a ton of loss lately in the NBA. Obviously, we saw Elgin Baylor unfortunately pass away. I believe it was Monday. So a lot of people are mourning for a lot of people around basketball. And it's a tough time, and it's unfortunate this happened. So just rest in peace. Like I always say, be nice to your loved ones. Always remember that our time on this earth is limited. We don't have an unlimited amount of time. Cherish every moment you have with those that you love. That's really what I preach, and that's what I think a lot of people should just always be reminded of when something like this happens. Without further ado, let's get into the games today that happened. We have a total of 5 games that took place today, which is way less than yesterday. I believe there were like 12 games yesterday. It was insanely hard to cover completely, but today's going to be a bit easier for me. First off, first game, we're going to be covering a very, very close game that was back and forth for the entirety of it. We saw the Portland Trailblazers beating the Miami Heat 125-122. This game was incredibly good. Before we get into specific actual game moments, let's look at the box scores real quick. Carmelo Anthony of Portland is playing very well recently. He put up 20 points today in the Portland Wind. He got himself 2 assists and 6 boards. He's looking strong. CJ McCollum had a day. He put up 35 points, dished out 8 assists. Damian Lillard, I thought, looked incredibly efficient today, and he really helped out his teammates create shots. He was put up 22 points today, and he also grabbed 9 assists. He had a great day. Enes Kanter also, I thought, had a very dominant day. He was looking very aggressive today. He put up 18 points, grabbed himself 16 boards. If you look through the highlight video, I actually watched this game. It was very, very electric, the performance that Kanter put on. I love the presence that he has on this Portland team, especially against a team like Miami. And, I mean, who knows? We saw Miami today in their acquisition. It's likely that Miami gets Lamarcus Aldridge. That's the thing. In a game like this, when Miami has Lamarcus Aldridge, this final outcome might be swayed in the favor of the Heat. That's why I think that move is actually very, very good for this Heat team, and that's why I think it was just a smart move by the front office. Shout out Pat Riley. Let's go to the Heat, though. Jimmy Butler did not play today's game. He is out with an injury. Goran Dragic did not play. Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley obviously did not play today because their trade's technically still pending. But that's what we have for the box score. Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro both led this team in scoring. Herro put up 29 points, 8 assists, and 4 boards. Adebayo put up 29 points, 9 boards, and 7 assists. They both looked incredibly strong. Kendrick Nunn had a game for this Heat team. He put up 22 points, dished out 5 assists, picked up 5 boards in 33 minutes of play. He shot 69% from the field. Very nice. He was looking very strong today. Shout out Kendrick Nunn. Hopefully he can get back on track like this. And the other notable player I thought was Duncan Robinson. He had a bit of an off day. He was only credited for putting up 12 points, but he was still 4 for 6 from 3, so he was incredibly efficient. That Miami team is looking good. All I really got to say about this game is if this game were to be played like a week from now, I think the outcome would be completely different because, number one, I'm sure Jimmy would be in the lineup, but, after that, I'm sure that the addition of Lamarcus Aldridge to this Heat team really does a great job of diminishing the effect that this Blazers team really has on that inside game with someone like Enes Kanter. I mean, Kanter is a great player, but 40 boards, are you kidding me? It's just insane. With a guy like Lamarcus Aldridge in that power forward spot, I think he's really going to make a pretty good effort and have a pretty big effect on an outcome in a game like this. Let's move over. We saw the Washington Wizards take on the New York Knicks. Final score, Knicks 106, Wizards 102. This was a pretty good game on both fronts, I thought. It was similar to Portland and Miami. We saw another back-and-forth game. And I thought it was a good effort from both teams. The Knicks are red hot. I seem to see every single night now. Julius Randle is putting up like monster numbers. Today he's finally cooled down. But regardless, this Knicks team continues to look hot night in and night out. They're looking very strong heading into the latter part of the season. Wizards, on the other hand, they did beat the Jazz earlier this week, so they are a bit hot, but they did lose their game previous to this, so they were in a 2-game losing streak. And I thought this team looked good, but, I think this is where these teams belong. I think the Knicks really are just a little bit better than the Washington overall as a whole, and I think regardless of what Russell Westbrook does, by the way, he had a terrible game. I think the Knicks take this game really 9 times out of 10. That's how good I feel about this Knicks team. Look at the box score. Like we said, Russell Westbrook, terrible game. He only put up 13 points on 3 for 15 shooting. He was 0 for 5 from 3. Tough day for him. He did grab himself 18 boards, though, and dished out 9 assists. So technically he got the double-double, but, this team needs more production out of Russ to really win games. Bradley Beal put up 26 points. He dished out 9 assists, picked up 4 boards in 39 minutes of play. He also was not very efficient today. He was 8 for 23 from the field. Pretty ugly stat line for him, I guess, as far as efficiency goes. Rui Hachimura looked very good for this Wizards team today. He put up 21 points. Finally, someone that was efficient. He was 56% from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. Very impressed with how he looks tonight. He also grabbed himself 9 boards and 2 assists. That's all I really have to say about this Wizards team, to be honest. They played how they usually do. that's their biggest downfall, is that they're just not very efficient. They need Beal to have better games. They need Russell Westbrook to have better games. I know all the memes about Russell Westbrook just being the guy that fills up the stat sheet, but I mean, it's got to be more efficient if Russell wants to really win with this team, because the roster around him is not anything special. So that's all I really got to say about that. Let's look to the Knicks, though. RJ Barrett, great game for him. He put up 24 points, 10 boards, 5 assists. He's looking lethal. He also grabbed himself 3 steals. Very impressed with how he's turning out. He was a bit inefficient. He was 7 for 22 from the field, but he still put up good shots for this team, and I mean, those shots are going to fall for him. He also was 72% from the line, so he gets to the line a ton tonight, and that's what really helped him. Alec Burks having an amazing game. He put up 27 points of his own in 33 minutes of play. He was 44% total from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. He grabbed himself a total of 6 boards, didn't get any assists, but he was 82% from the line today. So Alec Burks, great game. Other notable players, Emmanuel Quickly put up 14 points. Taj Gibson put up a total of 18 points for himself. Obi Toppin put in 4 points in 11 minutes of play. Not the best night for him. And you know, that's all I really got to say for this team. Julius Randle, 13 points. But yeah, this Knicks team, they're looking good. They really are. They're looking strong. I think with games like this going into the latter part of the season that they must win, like this was a must-win game for this Knicks team. I'm glad that they got the W and they can move out of here and move on to their next competition. The Knicks need to win games like this if they want to stay competitive. Even if it is by 4 points, that's still a win on the stat sheet. Let's move to Clippers versus Spurs. Final score here, we saw Clippers 98, Spurs 85. Tough game for the Spurs. The news of Lamarcus Aldridge obviously was a bit roster altering. Stat sheet though, DeMar DeRozan, 23 points today and 8 for 19 shooting. He grabbed himself 4 boards and 2 assists. He looked good. DeJounte Murray put in 18 points, 6 boards and 7 assists. He also looked good. Jakob Poeltl and Derek White also dished in 11 points of their own, so they look solid. That's about it. No one else really pitched in a whole lot. I mean, Rudy Gay put in 7 points. Devin Vassell put up 7 points. That's about it for this Spurs team. Not a whole lot of scoring, but they did play, I mean, solid defense. They held the Clippers to 38% shooting on the night, so that's quite impressive, to be honest. For the Clippers, though, Kawhi Leonard was a scratch. He did not play today. Serge Ibaka did not play today. Marcus Morris did not play today. So some pretty key players not playing for this Clippers team, and they still got the win. Paul George led the way with 24 points. He also got 13 boards and 4 assists. He looked incredibly good for this team. He was also a bit inefficient, but I mean, those shots are going to fall for Paul George. Reggie Jackson, on the other hand, for this Clippers team, 28 points tonight on 4 boards and 4 assists. He was 50% from the field today, 50% from 3, 100% from the line. He got to the line a ton, put up 7 shots today. He looked good. Reggie Jackson's continuing to sort of carry this team when he can, and I do like the way he sort of facilitates this offense. I'm going to be honest, I do. I think it's pretty impressive. After that, though, no one else really notable for this team tonight. Zubac, I thought, looked a bit strong. He put in 10 points and 13 boards. Not a very big scoring presence, but he definitely helped out the offense. And Terrence Mann put in 10 of his own, grabbing 12 boards. So he looked good. But yeah, not much else I really have to say besides LA got the easy win. They move on. It was a game that they needed to win against this Spurs team, and LA still finds himself in 3rd place. But that's really got to say about that. For this, we go to Philadelphia. They took on the Lakers. They got the 109-101 win. LeBron James still out dealing with his injury, but Lakers didn't get the win. This Sixers team was, for the most part, healthy. So if we look at the stat sheet, really, Danny Green had a great night, 28 points. He was 66% from 3. He's been dead on all year. Seth Curry put in 19 of his own. He's starting to really break out for this team. That I like to see that. 53% from the field, 4 for 8 from 3. Shake Milton put in 12 points of his own, 4 for 10 from 3, 2 for 6. He's looking good. This team's looking good. Tobias Harris put in 17 of his own. Ben Simmons put in 9 points. Bad night for him. He was 1 for 7 in 38 minutes. But, this team's going to figure out. This Sixers team, they're a good team. There's a reason that they are the first place team in the East this year. There's a reason they're 32-13. It's because they find ways to win games like this against the Lakers when they can, and they seize the opportunities that they see in front of them. On the Lakers, on the other hand, though, Kuzma, I thought, really led the way. He put in 25 points on 9 for 21 shooting, 3 for 9 from 3. He had a great game. Dennis Schroeder, he put in 20 points, 6 for 14. He was 8 for 9 from the line. I thought he looked quite good. Montrezl Harrell, 20 points, 8 for 13 total. He was 4 for 8 from 3. But, I mean, yeah, this game was actually pretty close, and I think it was a bit closer than that 109-101 score tells you. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched, even when LA is hurt. But just the loss of LeBron and the loss of AD in that lineup, it hinders this team so much because those guys are so key. They're like they're the face of the Lakers. You know, they're the reason they won that championship last year. And without them, this team is just nowhere near what they are with them. Their production goes down, their efficiency goes way down. You know, they were 43% from the field today. That's not going to happen with LeBron out there. 34% from 3. Also, probably not going to happen with LeBron out there. And even with Davis in the lineup, they're not going to get out-rebounded against a team like the Sixers. But that's all I got to say. Sixers get the win. They move on. They're still in first place. Final game of the night, Golden State Warriors took on the Sacramento Kings. I thought the Warriors put forth a great effort today in their loss, even though they did lose to the Kings, who are red hot, might I add. You know, they played well. And Steph didn't play tonight. He got hurt, if you paid attention earlier this week. Draymond also did not play. So this team's essentially faceless. I mean, their best player is Andrew Wiggins. So without Curry and Draymond, it's just tough for this team to really get past the Kings. But regardless, Andrew Wiggins put up 26 points, 10 boards, 4 assists. Kelly Oubre put up 19 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. Jordan Poole put up 17 points, 3 boards, and 5 assists. And Nico Mannion put in 19 points, 3 assists. Shout out Nico Mannion. I thought he's been looking very good for this Warriors team, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the future. But that's all I really got to say for this Warriors team. Just tough night against a team that is just so much better than them. And when you don't have Curry and Draymond, who are the only players that have really been carrying this team to the wins that they have been getting, it's tough to produce. You know, what are you going to do? There's a reason that they've been hurt for most of this year, and there's a reason that they're 22 and 23. It's because they can't get over the hump with those two guys alone. But let's move down to the Kings. We see Darren Fox. My goodness. He is also the top scorer tonight like he was last night. 44 points for Darren Fox. My goodness. 16 for 22 shooting, so he's very efficient. 3 for 7 from 3. Quite good for him. 9 for 10 from the line. I mean, everything to love about this guy. He did put up 7 assists, though, so it wasn't creating a whole lot for his team, but when he puts in 44 points, he doesn't need to create, okay? He carried this team. He looked phenomenal. Buddy Hield, on the other hand, I thought looked good, even though he only put up 16. I thought he was pretty efficient from 3, 4 for 9, and he did put up 6 boards, grabbed himself 6 assists. I thought he was pretty good at facilitating the win tonight. Rashawn Holmes continues to look good for this Kings team. 25 points for him, 11 boards and an assist. And Tyrese Halliburton was lighting up the stat sheet. 6 for 7 from 3. Are you kidding me? Looking phenomenal. 21 points total, and he got an assist. Didn't even get a single board in 33 minutes of play. But, you know, he's a spot-up guy. It's what's going to happen with him. Kyle Guy put him 17 of his own. He looked very good today. Grabbed himself 6 boards, 4 assists in 22 minutes. And that's all I really got to say for this game. Kings move on against a Golden State team that was not healthy. And, you know, the Kings, I think, when healthy, are so much better than a Curry-less Warriors. Kings are 11th in the standings, but if De'Aaron continues to play like this, we can see this Kings team, I think, move up very quickly. So, just to give you guys a quick standings update before the video ends, Sixers are in first place in the East, followed by the Bucks, the Nets, the Hornets, then the Knicks, and the Hawks. We go into that playoff tournament play-in qualifiers. We see the Heat, Celtics, Pacers, and Bulls in that order for the 7 through 10 spots. And your dwellers in the East in 11th are the Raptors, 12th the Cavaliers, 13th the Wizards, 14th Magic, 15th Pistons. In the West, we see first place Jazz, second place Suns, third place Clippers, fourth place Lakers, fifth place Nuggets, sixth place Portland. For that playoff play-in qualifier threshold right there, we see from 7 to 10 in order Dallas, San Antonio, Memphis, and Golden State. And the dwellers in the West are the Kings, the Pelicans, the Thunder, Rockets, and the Timberwolves in that order. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of this video. If you stuck around to the end of this video, leave a like down below and subscribe. Leave a comment telling me you stuck around. Tell me what you thought about today's action. You know, have a nice day, guys. Be nice to each other. I'm out.